we have this huge nature-culture divide in the human world. We've separated them out. We've separated ourselves from nature. We think of nature and it gets used so much like, oh, I love being in nature. I love going for a walk in nature. And what does it really mean? For a lot of people, it just means being outdoors. For a lot of people, it means being in a park, being in some sort of green space. But it's everywhere. It's all around us. Like, we are it. It is us. We are not separate from it. The plants are not separate from it. We're not so separate from the plants as we think we are. You know, all the time we're breathing in, we are taking in the world to ourselves. It's the most immediate form we have of taking the world into us. I think foraging is a really empowering practice for people to take some control back over our food supply system. So we're not always relying on things that are coming from the other side of the world. But I think foraging was not so much of a thing in the past, it was just the way things were done.
If you weren't able to interact with the landscape, you were dead. And it's something that we forget now, whereas in the past, foraging was about surviving, and the education that you would have received from your parents, your grandparents, your community about what you can eat, what you can't eat, what grows in the seasons, what doesn't, how to preserve things. I mean, that was really, really vital information. For a lot of people in the 1970s and 1980s, foraging was looked down upon as a kind of activity for the poor. Because ironically, you didn't have enough money to go to the supermarket to buy blackberries, you had to go and pick them yourselves. Whereas now it's like cool and sexy to go down to the beach and pick things and bring them home and cook them. But at that time, I think we were very much in awe of the culture of the supermarket. So we were in this kind of whirlwind of, oh my God, we can just buy everything in the shops. You can go to the shops and everything is ready, and like nothing has to be washed or prepared. And I think we went through this period from the 80s and 90s. We're kind of lost to a certain degree in relation to our environment.
You're not just in a woods or in a park passing through a space. You're really paying attention to things. You're looking at everything, and sometimes you're getting down close and you're looking at things on the ground and seeing what stage of growth they're at. Sometimes you're touching things on the trees and you're checking like, oh, are they ready yet? No. So it like, the word that wants to come out there instantly is force, but force is a very negative word, but it forces you to become more attentive and more engaged and more aware of what's happening at any given time in the year or in a growing season or cycle of a plant. And it just brings us into a totally different relationship with our food, much more intimate, much more grounded in place and in season than a supermarket or a shop experience of getting food can give you.
There's enormous interest in gardening, growing food, and not just wishful thinking. A lot more people are realising that food value includes fresh, whole, unprocessed food, right? By extension, we need whole, unprocessed medicines, right? Many of them are on our doorsteps and are foraged along with food, and that adds nutrition and vitality. Herbal medicine is medicine made from plants, either simply in your teapot, preserved and constituents extracted in alcohol or put in capsules. Herbal medicine as a tradition is based on whole herbal medicines. These are not processed, patented green bullets.
Nature's pharmacy is all around us, and it's a wonderful way to think about nature around you, that when you're just walking around, you could be walking past something that can heal something in your body, even if it only makes you feel better. And we're walking past those things every day. in every season.
Being able to make our own medicines from plants that grow in our locality, in season, they're as fresh as you can get them. That to me is some of the best medicine that you can have. And you're skipping out the whole chain of like industrial production, factories, supply chains, producers, distributors, shop holders, all of that. Like you cut out all the middle parts of the chain, and it's like direct from you to your plants and to your medicine. So in terms of like vitality of food and nutrient density and all of those kind of things, it's as fresh as you can get, picking something from your own back garden or picking something wild.
If you talk to any of the nutritionists about wild foods, there are certain plants that we do not eat at all, like dandelions I mentioned, that have more vitamin C than an orange. And so why are people not picking dandelions up off the road and eating them? And why are they constantly going to the shop to buy oranges? I don't know. And so some plants may be less nutritious, but some are so full of nutrition that probably we should be looking more into them. And there are many plants, I think, in nature that we should probably cultivate.
If you think of things like osteoarthritis, general muscle aches and pains, hormone transitional problems, hormone conditions like premenstrual syndrome, polycystic ovaries, chronic sinusitis, chronic bronchitis, all of these and many more, teenage acne, acne rosacea, lots of skin conditions. There's a role in all of those before we lead into pharmacy treatment or combining them with pharmacy treatment. So the role of herbal medicine is in everyday health care and can probably by itself work very well on 60 to 80% of those conditions in primary care.
People are questioning modern medicine a lot now, so they're questioning more about what they're putting into their bodies. I think herbs have a huge role to play in our health and keeping ourselves healthy. And the healthier you are, the healthier you can keep yourself. If you have to go to modern medicine for something then like a cancer or something that's life-threatening, well, it will work much, much better. It's better for modern medicine to work on a strong body than to work on a weak body that hasn't been looked after.
Pharmaceutical knowledge is very rich in knowledge about very specific questions which are asked in a contrived experimental environment. Herbal medicine is empirical knowledge observed over centuries. So they both have their application, but one is history and tradition and wisdom. So it's the difference between knowledge about very specific narrow areas and wisdom accumulated over time. We're not high on appreciating wisdom.
I am the grandson of Nan O'Toole. She was always known as Nan Toole. In the village, she was known as a wise old woman, or Oscilga Bon Fossa. She also had cures for ailments, and if someone was sick or if a baby was sick. If a child was born premature, she would, or they would, hang it in a net, in a fishing net, over a basin of warm water, and they would put herbs in it and different things to replicate the womb. And I think what my mother taught me was it gave a feeling of being in the womb to the child, and that's why they done it as well. And children thrived in it. So she had all those cures. She made poultices from bread. They would boil bread and they would wrap it in bandages. You know, if you had an infection and it was full of whatever, the poultice would draw it out. If you Google Nan Toole, there's one thing there on the internet, they're calling her a wise old witch. You know, you see, witches were burned at the stake hundreds of years ago all over the world. They weren't what they were. Most of them was they had cures. They had cures because they had to have cures. Because if you were lived in an enclosed village and people weren't allowed in, you had to be able to, if a child was sick or an adult was sick, you had to be able to do your best for them. So that's what it was, you know.
I think there's a lot in history that is still very valuable, that we kind of like drop things as we go, you know, because we have all these newfangled, really high-tech things and everybody looks forward to the new things. But sometimes we forget to look behind and see what we've dropped and what we've discarded as we've moving forward through time.
For most people, the place where you go to get food is a supermarket or a restaurant. It's not like a farm, or it's not like into the wild. And so people become less confident, and it only takes a number of generations to entirely lose like an understanding. If you look at older cookbooks or older recipe books that were passed down from generation to generation, what you see is that it's almost like a manual for living.
Like I actually think it's quite sad a little bit that people have to pay to come onto courses to learn about things like foraging, like wild food. It's everywhere, it's all around us. And I would hope that in a generation or two, that knowledge is back in circulation and it's back as common knowledge.
I think the more and more technologically advanced we become, the more we feel that we have separated ourselves from nature. But all it takes is a pandemic or a flood or a snowstorm to realize that we are still exactly the same as we were 100,000 years ago. Like once you lose your phone, then you're back to like standing on a beach and you're looking for food. And we feel that we as a species have become more advanced, but really the technology has become more advanced. We are the same.
Human biology has not changed. Human genetics has not changed. The constituents in plants haven't changed. And we are very few generations away from very indigenous experience.
But then I think there is some like conscious elements of rewilding that we need to do to ourselves. We've gotten super domesticated, super soft, I think, in my opinion. We've become largely very delicate people, I think, delicate species. But rewilding ourselves, yeah, I think it's really complex, and I think it comes in lots of shapes and forms. And it's something that I don't have a clear, like a succinct definition of what does rewilding humans mean. I'm like, I don't know. Definitely means exploring that. And I think it means being outdoor more as well, and less mollycoddled. Yeah.
Go back to nature, bring nature back into the body. Drink those things that make your body strong and make it connect with nature again.
Learning, going on the foraging walks, learning to respect nature, learning that human beings are only one aspect of nature, taking comfort from the fact of community and interdependence. We're not isolated, we're not alone, we're in continuity with the soil, the terrain, the food, the medicines and the sun. Nobody needs to be lonely.
We haven't actually lost the connection. We've just hidden it under so many layers of bullshit. So it's like this unraveling, like this peeling back of layers and layers of stuff that we've laid over things to come back to ourselves and the natural world, and ourselves in the natural world as part of it.
Because everybody loves it. They just forget to go back to it. They forget to grow something. They think, I'm living in a city, I'm living in a town, or I can't be bothered doing that, Grow something that doesn't need any attention. Just watch it grow. That's a lovely feeling to have. No matter how small a place you live in or how big a place you live in. These things, this type of thing is very, very important. Anybody can reconnect with nature. Just remember to do it.
Nature,